Lights, camera, and action. It is said that movies know how to make you feel a certain way in just a few hours. It brings up all your emotions as you go. Now, on this episode of Quite Enough, we will be uncovering and going through the stories, the screens, and the soul of film in Cameroon. What's up, people? Quite enough. Welcome to another episode of the show. Now, like I said, today we're going to be talking a lot about the movie scene, and that is why my guest is very intentional for this episode. Now, you might have known him from movies like Nganu, La Bataille de Chéri, Le Petit Sam, and many others. Well, I'm talking about the superstar actor, writer, producer, amongst many other things. We have Ayu Garrett and my runaway guest, by the way, or runaway host on Card Enough. Welcome, Garrett. Welcome to Card Enough.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for having me. I'm not a runaway host, not a runaway guest, but I'm so glad that we finally got to make this happen.
How are you? Yeah.
Let me go away from my normal way of answering. So,
Yeah, he would have said, I'm there.
anyways, I'm doing good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
So welcome to Quite Enough once again. So like I said today, we're going to be doing a lot of talking about the movie scene, and you are like in the scene, even though you act like you're not there. But we're going to be talking about that. But before that, we're going to start off with our What's New segment. Now, this week or the past week has been very interesting because we've had like a lot of things coming up or a lot of things happening. First of all, we had the Yaha Film Festival. I think your film showed
Yeah,
your short film, which is Duct Tape.
yeah.
Yeah. So how is it? How is the festival in general and also your film?
Okay, so the film was selected to show at the Yara Film Festival, but we weren't in competition. But the good thing is we had the opportunity for the film to be screened and for people to watch, and the whole Q&A after the film with the cast and crew. I think when you watch a film, that's you always have some kind of questions, maybe you didn't understand something, and with festivals, that's one of the goals. So after the film was screened, a man took the mic and he said he had a hard time watching the film because he can relate to the story because he went through a similar situation. And we're standing in front of the crowd, and my heart was broken. Like, because that was the first time somebody had watched the film and openly said it. And there were people in the hall, but I feel like it gets to a certain point where you cannot keep something anymore. You just have
Yeah.
to let it out. So,
And that's what I was saying in the beginning, that movies have a way of bringing up your emotions. So
yeah.
it kind of did that. So.
Yeah, I mean, aside my film, I also watched a couple of other films, got to network, and it was really interesting.
Okay. So yeah, the festival was fun, right? Well, later we're going to talk about many things about festivals, especially in the film scene in Cameroon. But we had Joyce Babantide in a live concert. She had a mini concert on Friday to kind of give us a little bit of what she's going to be performing in Zanzibar. She was selected for a show in Zanzibar, I think 14th to 15th of February. So she's
Oh,
going
wow.
to be there. So she just kind of decided, okay, since I'm not going to be here,
Yeah,
let's give you guys a little bit something. Unfortunately, this is the first time I've not attended a Joyce Babantide
I'm actually very,
concert.
very pissed because I've never seen Joyce live.
Oh, you
And
haven't?
I know that it's going to be an experience for me because I love her music. I
I'm
love her
very I'm very
artistry.
sorry. I'm very sorry to people that have not
No,
seen her live. But you should. You should see her live. She is one of those artists that when she gets on stage, she owns the stage and gives you an experience, Yeah.
yeah,
So that's one of those things. So we also have Bobin Audrey's Kele, which dropped on Friday 24th of January.
yeah. And I saw her tweet about her new EP, and it came at a point where I had just started listening to her music again, to her EP Nene, and I realized that the last single she dropped was like in 2022 or so, and I was like, Audrey, where are you? Because her music is so soulful.
Yeah,
And I
so
haven't listened to Skele yet, so I'm definitely going to listen to
yeah,
it.
I haven't listened to that yet, but I'm definitely going to do that because just the little snippets she has been giving us, you know that she really cooked, and I think she just recently got signed to AGC Music, All Go Crazy Music, and it's one of those labels that are really doing good. So I'm really excited for what the future is going to bring for being Audrey. Now, still back to film, we have Mosoroki that premiered on Friday. That's 24th of February. That's the Clarice Dinges film. I think it's about rape, the tales of rape. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
I had it was in competition in October at the Cranwa Film Festival, but I didn't have the opportunity to see it. But the fact that Clarice Ningesh is always very intentional about what she does, and the
Absolutely.
director himself, Anurin Nwenembom, he's an amazing filmmaker. So I know it's definitely going to be something which
Yeah.
is worth seeing. It's on Prime Video,
Yes, it's
right?
on Prime
Okay.
Video. Yeah, and it's already streaming, so you could go watch it, and maybe we can have a discussion about that later on. And really love when films talk about societal issues that many people can relate to. It's the same thing with your short film Duct Tape was able to do that to still talk about um rape, but it's mostly about the boy
The boy, yeah.
child, yes, and also she was able to do that. So I'm really looking forward to watching it and seeing what it brings for us. Well, away from what is new and popping, we're going to come back to you. But before we get into the whole question and answer and all the catching up, let's play a little game.
Okay.
Yes. So it's this or that. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, cinema or Netflix?
Cinema. Any day.
Okay. English or French films to acting for you? English or French film?
Ooh, can I pass? Because I may lose my next job if I answer that one. Can I pass?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So that means I have a commission on your next job because I just saved your next job. Okay, so animation. Would you rather watch an animation or a silent film?
I think animation.
Okay, have you ever watched a silent film?
Not that I'm sure of.
I think I've watched, but not like the complete film. I've
Mm-hmm.
watched it. So it's something I just did in passing. So I really
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to say how I felt while watching it. But yeah. So would you rather I know the answer to this, but I'm still going to ask. Would you rather act as a villain or a hero?
Oh, a villain. Every day, all my roles should be villain roles.
Why? I'm curious.
It's very tricky to play a villain because in real life, everybody, in everyone's story, they are a hero. They are never the villain in their story. If they're telling you their story, they're never the villain. So you ask yourself, like, if everybody's a hero, so at the end of the day, who's a villain? So I feel like it's easier to play a hero in a film than to play a villain. Imagine playing a villain that people actually hate you. Like, it's so convincing that people actually hate you.
Patience is open.
Exactly. So I don't think I've had that villain role yet. I did something like that in Le Petit Sam, but that ultimate villain that you see me on the road and you want to stone me to death, I'm still looking for that.
Okay, so this is him indirectly shooting his shot at directors.
Exactly.
So I hope you guys are listening. So give him what if you write you are a writer too, so what if you write that story where you are the ultimate
Honestly,
villain?
with what I've written so far, I don't think I'm ever going to write a character for myself. In all honesty, because it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be forced, it's going to be biased. They always say writers write their stories, write their perspectives. So far I've never written anything about myself. I've never created a character that has similarities to myself. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I live a boring life, but I just feel like um there are better things out there for me to say than myself.
Yeah, so for somebody who acts like he has a big ego, that's actually so sweet. Okay, so now we know you as an actor, a writer, a producer, and so many other things. Sometimes when he's not messing around, he's a presenter. So,
Yeah.
who is Ayu Garrett? So if they were to ask you who Ayu Garrett is, who would they say he is?
I don't know who he is. So that's always a very tricky question.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't know. If I've stopped saying I'm a filmmaker. I just say I'm a creative now because as time goes on, I've seen that I can do a lot more things and I'm trying to expand.
Absolutely.
So I'm a creative. I love art. I love music. I love films. I love to cook. I love video games. I love playing tennis. I don't like crowds. For somebody in the film world, it's very strange. I don't
Mm,
like being in crowded places.
yeah.
Um, like I said, I'm boring. So
I don't know why when people say they are boring, I don't believe that because I feel it's because they have kind of accepted the world's definition of fun and
yeah,
boring because I just feel like when you're saying you're boring, you love to cook, you love video games, you're somebody that can spend the whole day with and I'll not be bored. So you saying you're boring, I don't know. It doesn't make sense,
I
but
feel like
like
it's just because if 80% of people say something is this, the the minority, the 20% were like, okay, you've
let's
won.
go.
So that's why I say I'm boring because majority of people will say it's going out, meeting people, clubbing, all those kind of things. That's what's fun. But for some of us, fun is, I don't know, staying at home, binge watching a series, or I don't know, just writing, playing video games or something.
All right. So you have been in the acting scene for a while now, and aside acting, you write, you produce. So how did you get into this scene? How did you get into the filmmaking? Even though you don't want to call yourself a filmmaker, the whole filmmaking process, that's the acting, writing, producing.
Yeah.
How did the journey start?
Um, I never thought it was possible to be an actor, well, a teenage actor in Cameroon, because I didn't see teenage actors have important roles. I didn't see films with many teenage actors. So it started when my father's friend is a family friend. I call him an uncle. I saw a film he did and I was like, oh, okay. So I actually know somebody who's in the film world. So I was like, I think I was in Form 5 by then. I told him I would like to get into film. He was like, oh, okay, I'll see what to do. I'll see what to do. Years went by and he didn't do anything. Up until when I moved to Yaoundé and I was like, okay, I watched a series, Le Refuge by Cyril Masso. So it's a series set in boarding school, and the entire series happens in a Catholic boarding school. It was something I could relate to, and the cast is 99% teenagers. So I was like, if they are doing things like this, that means it's possible to for me because I honestly felt like teenagers could not act. I don't know, maybe there was some law or something that if you're maybe in high school or secondary school or primary school, you're not supposed to have a place. So it was when I saw it that I was like, you know what, I started looking for ways to get into film. And my brother had a friend who in 2018 he did a an acting workshop. So my brother put me in contact with his friend, and that's how it got started. I did the workshop, and I met my mentor. I met other people, and that's how the journey started as an actor.
Okay. So how were you able to evolve from just being an actor to the other things that you currently do?
Okay, so I started writing. Funny story. I knew how to write before I knew how to act because in when I was in Form 1 in secondary school, I oh god, I had a crush on an older student. She was in Form 4. So I wrote
Sorry, what class were
I
you?
was in Form 1.
Okay. Let's keep on.
So I wrote a story about her, and that's how my writing started. I would write poems, but after a while I just stopped writing. I felt like I wasn't good at it. So writing came about when my mentor Tatiana Matip, when she's an acting coach, she's a trainer, so she doesn't want you to concentrate just on acting because, as she always says, actors in Cameroon don't get paid enough. You cannot live off being an actor in Cameroon. You have to branch out and do other things. So she was like, when you come to Tatiana Art Cine, you have to know how to do something else in film. You could be a director, you could be a cinematographer, you could be a sound engineer. She was like, you cannot do just acting. So she forced all of us to learn writing, which I dread. And she kept forcing me, Garrett, I need you to write one page. I need you to write this. I need you to write. I need you to write. And I kept running away from it, but it got to a point where I couldn't. And that's where the idea of Duct Tape came. So I started writing, and since then, I've just been writing.
It has just been like an overflowing river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though there are moments of intense writer's block. I mean, there was a period when I went for a year at least. I didn't have any creative ideas to write. And then in the space of 6 months, I had ideas like back to back. So I didn't waste time. I just started writing.
So when you write, do you get any special inspiration from somewhere, or you just decide to start typing and it just flows from there?
There's always inspiration. Sometimes I sleep and I dream about it. Sometimes it's just from a conversation in a taxi. Sometimes it's from we could be having a normal conversation with a friend, and then they just say one line. That one line kicks start something in my brain, and I'm like, I go and I try to develop it. Sometimes it could be from music. Sometimes it could be from another film. I always write scripts based off one liners. Somebody could say one thing, I could listen to a single sentence in a song or in a film, and I'm inspired to write something.
I think there's something that you just said that caught my attention. It can come from a conversation. I remember somebody saying there are stories everywhere. You can just sit in front of your house and you get stories. It might be
Yeah.
somebody that is passing with his girlfriend arguing. It can be in a taxi. The driver is telling you some crazy stories. So stories are definitely everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say your creative process is like when getting into a character? And would you say you are a method actor or... Let's go.
I think, God, people should not hate me for this, but everybody prides in saying they are a method actor. But at the end of the day, they don't really do that. Because I'm not going to lie, we pick from all techniques and assemble to give a performance. I don't think, anyways, in our context, I don't think there's anybody who is a method actor from start to end of a project. You're going to do, I don't know, the Meisner technique. You're going to do immersion. You're going to do method acting. And for myself, it's per character and per scene. Because there are some scenes where I'm full method acting. There are some scenes where I may do immersion. So it depends on the character, how intense the character is. If I'm doing a short film and I do not have much time to prepare, my process is getting to know the character, because the script is your ultimate guide. And most people think acting is reading out lines. Even some actors think acting is reading out lines, but your power as an actor comes from the action, the description, what follows after the dialogue, the silence, the pauses. That's your power as an actor. And if you know your character well, you know how to bring it out. So even if you miss a line, you know how to improvise, because you know how your character thinks, you know how they talk, you know how to react in certain
Even how they
situations.
walk. I think there are times where I've seen you talk about your characters or how you get into them, because like one person is here, the next minute is
Yeah.
somebody else, and you're trying to find out like who the hell is this. And you just made a very valid point. It's that acting is not just about reading lines, because people can know when you are faking it.
Exactly.
I started watching a film yesterday, and it was feeling as if it was a spoken word film. It's like there was a green screen somewhere that had like their lines or something, a teleprompter, sorry, that had their lines, and they were looking and staring, and they were trying to
Yeah.
show us. But when it's acting, you kind of feel part of the story. You forget yourself. It's like you are immersed in the experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think many people need to learn, or many actors, or even the directors need to be able to implement that for their actors, right?
Yeah,
So
and I think most of the time I don't even blame the actors. I blame the writers, because when you do not create a character with depth, an actor cannot deliver. Because most writers in our context, they write some very shallow things, and you cannot do much with it as an actor. Even if you're Denzel Washington, if you're Will Smith, there's not much you can do with a one layered character, because a character has to have an arc. If there's no arc, if the character is the same from start to finish, what am I going to do as an actor? And personally, that's why I haven't done many films, because I'm very picky about what I do. If it doesn't challenge me, if it doesn't make me, when I read the script, if I don't look like Garrett, you will not be able, I cannot say yes to it.
That's some powerful, that's some superpower to have there, because I'm not sure it's everybody that can refuse a script, because some people will just, okay, let's show up, let's do this. I want to be in the screens, I want to be in every project. And sorry, not no shade to anybody, and that's why you see a lot of YouTube movies that have the same characters all over again, and you've not even seen the range of those characters. They're just there in the movie because I'm popular, I'm on
But
YouTube.
at the same time, every product has an audience. I mean, as much as I don't like majority of the YouTube films,
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm
yeah,
talking about the actors there,
yes,
actors that are in every project. I'm not.
yeah, I mean, I would want to bash them as well sometimes, but it's like people have bills to pay. So what are they going to do? Because if you're doing a film for YouTube, for example, you're not going to overthink the creative process. But it gets to a certain point where you have to stand out. You have to stand out, exactly. You have to stand out.
And I think why I'm kind of upset with the whole YouTube acting thing, I'm not saying they're YouTube actors, but I'm trying to say that in the quality of their performance, there's been this whole argument online for the past few weeks about how Hollywood has project, but then it's meant for Africans, but they don't pick Africans. They pick Black Americans to do the acting. And the question comes to, have you shown them your range? As in, like, what have you shown them that is Oscar worthy, something that they will be wild and want to come to your place and pick you?
I honestly feel like it's purely business.
Yeah, there's
I don't think it's a
business,
matter of talent, because Africa has talents.
there's talent, and then it's two sides. I'm bringing to the
Yeah.
table. I cannot just stay on one. I'm bringing the two sides. There's the whole business. Of course, Paramount wants their money. Universal wants their money. But then also, what have you shown? That's the point I'm bringing. Have you been able to show something that somebody would want to come for you?
Okay, like recently with Children of Blood and Bone, I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
If we're going to talk about that, it's going to be a long conversation.
Because I mean, the Africa has talents. Like we
Yes.
have people like Nse, we have Uzo Amaka and Ninonu. Those are people who they can embody anything.
I think when this guy came, Idris Elba, he did a project and Inse was part of the project.
Oh yes,
So
that's
that's what
true.
I'm saying. Like, she had something and he was able to work with her, right?
Yeah.
But now, Children of Blood and Bone.
I feel like I need to read the book first before I even watch the film. So I need to read the book. Because apparently people were saying there were no light-skinned people. It's a Yoruba setting, so there are no
Yes.
light-skinned people. And the cast, there are some...
There are some.
I sip.
You know the funny thing in the whole Children of Blood and Bone argument is the fact that from the writing has a problem because the author didn't live in Nigeria.
Oh.
She's this IJJB authors
Oh.
that is in the diaspora that they just have little glimpses of Africa, so they decide to mix everything and put it. And somebody was even making a joke that there's a character in the book that's her name starts with a Z, and there's no Yoruba name that has a Z. So people are like, you guys shouldn't. You should have seen the cast coming.
Yeah.
You should have seen the cast coming. So nobody has to be upset about the whole thing. It's
Okay,
business at
so
the end of the day.
it's kind of like the reverse of Half of a Yellow Sun, because with Half of a Yellow Sun the book was actually accurate, but the film was nah. Because honestly, I watched the film before I read the book. Then when I read the book, and I was so mad about the film because that was not it.
Right.
The lead character, what's her name? Kindness sister. but I cannot remember. But in the film, they kind of did the reverse in the roles, because Kai Nene was in the book. I think she was more beautiful than her sister or something. But
in the
anyways,
film. But
adaptations
adaptations
in Africa, yeah.
are very tricky, and it's to talk about that is it's really tricky, because sometimes we have to look at the business. Everybody wants to get their money and all of that. So now back to you, right? What would you say has been your biggest project so far? Which film is your biggest? What's your biggest project yet?
Yet, um, I would say La Bataille de Chéri, the TV series.
Okay.
Because in terms of okay, so in terms of my acting, that wasn't my biggest pressure. But in terms of what it gave me, where it put me, it was La Bataille de Chéri. But in terms of
Acting.
the acting, the challenge, it was Nganu,
Yeah.
because Nganu
Let,
took
let's
a lot from me.
let's talk about how you got the call. How did you react? Did you do an audition for the role? And how did you react when you got the call?
Okay, so I actually auditioned. I said that was the last audition I was I was going to do, because from 2020 to 2021 I did so many auditions and I didn't get called back. And it's frustrating for an actor when you go for an audition and you're told, "Oh my God, you're good, you're good, you're good," but you don't get the call back. It's extremely frustrating. So I was like, Nganu, this is my last audition. After this, if I don't have it, I am leaving film. So I did the audition in Douala. A couple of weeks later, I got the call from Kang, and I could not speak. So after he hung up, I was like, I, I, I literally could not breathe well, because I was like, okay, what just happened? So I was in Yaoundé. I went to Douala the next day and I met him. He gave me the script and he said, we're shooting in 2 weeks. So I had to start rehearsing from that moment with him. And the script was entirely in Pidgin. And at that time, my Pidgin was horrible. So I had to work on my Pidgin. I had to work on my aggressiveness. The preparation was really, really intense, because as an actor, Kang Quintus, he's wild as an actor. And my character, Kum, was a worse version of Kang Quintus's character, Nganu. So if Nganu smoked 2 packs of cigarette a day, Kumisco had to smoke 4. So it was really challenging for me, because he was already setting a bar this high, and how
You
was
had
I
to
going to
match it
reach that?
twice.
And that was my first project in English, not even in English, but in Pidgin. So there was all of this pressure on me. My first feature film, my first English project, my first lead role, and it's a Kang Quintus project. I'm acting alongside him, and it was already sure it was going to be a Netflix film. So the pressure was so much, but I managed to scale through.
That was a really beautiful film, by the way.
Thank
Because
you.
when I watched it, I think I called you immediately. I
Yeah,
finished because I wanted to understand what just happened.
yeah.
Like the person I watched the film with, like there was silence throughout the film, like silence till the very end. And when we finished, we were like, "What did we just watch?" So congratulations on
Thank
that. I
you.
absolutely loved the project. And like I always tell you, like whenever I watch your project, I'm always impressed because of how you're able to, apply yourself to the projects, right? And I'm sure that this is where you are right now. It's not the limit to where you're going to. Yeah, you have more international
I
projects.
haven't even
So
started.
you haven't even started. So we're looking forward to everything you are going to be doing. So for you, right, as let's leave the acting side, writing, why do you think why do you think using duct tape as a case study, why do you think it's important to be able to tell stories that, kind of show the ills of the society and things that can that people can relate to?
Um, as filmmakers, I think we have a very powerful tool which we do not utilize enough, because, for example, you could take a real life story and fictionalize it to get the message across. Because um, if you do a song, people, I mean, you have some very powerful lyrics. People could listen to it, but the melody throws them off. They don't get the message. But with a film, you get to attack the subject matter head on. So when I was doing Duct Tape, I did it because I hadn't seen any films that were addressing sexual violence on the boy child. That's why I did it. Even when we checked for statistics, we couldn't find any statistics. So um, I think as writers we should make more films that advocate for something. It's true that every creative has their voice, and it's not some people. Some people don't have it in them to tell those kind of stories. But I personally, even if I'm telling a love story, I am going to incorporate a lesson in there somewhere, unless I'm writing for someone. It's someone else's story, and I am contracted to write before I could write something normal. If not, I will give you moral lesson.
Okay, that's really interesting, and it's I always feel like it's very important, and I love when stories are able to advocate for something, so that yes, we're being entertained, but then being able to mirror the society, and just like you said, representation matters,
Yeah,
because when people are able to see certain things, the lesson is easier to pass across, because sometimes when you tell people things, it enters one ear and it
yeah.
comes out, but when they see it and when their emotions get in the whole process of it, it kind of changes their mind, and that's why I believe that movies are very important. Now I might want to shake tables a little bit. Last week, my guests were kind of talking about how there is little to no cinema culture in Cameroon. You want to wake up a random day and you want to watch a Cameroonian film in the cinema, and there's literally nothing there. For the past few weeks, there hasn't been any Cameroonian film on the cinema list and all of that. So you, as an actor or being in the industry, what do you think is the problem that's affecting the cinema culture in Cameroon?
Firstly, we do not have a cinema culture because there is a generation of Cameroonians who grew up and have never been to a cinema. My generation, we didn't grow up with cinema halls. There were no cinema halls. I think the first cinema hall I went to was maybe around 2018 when the Canal Olympia cinemas came up. That was the first time I went to a cinema. So, and that's because I'm in Yaoundé. Imagine people who are in Boya, in Limbe, in Bamenda, in Bafusam, they don't have cinemas there. So the first thing is having the cinemas so we could go watch these films. And the few cinemas we have, I don't exactly know how the distribution, the contracts with them work, but I know getting your film to show in a cinema is extremely difficult unless you have a co-production with Canal Plus or you have stinky rich money before you can get your film there. Because what's the point of having cinemas in Cameroon if they don't show Cameroon films? Because they cannot say Cameroonians are not producing films.
Yeah.
We are producing films, but we show mostly foreign films. So I really don't know the whole cinema concept. I don't know how it works,
Right.
but I just know it's not fair to Cameroon filmmakers.
Okay. So, well, you don't have an idea of how it goes, but I've really been curious, and I'm hoping that maybe someone who's going to see this would reach out or kind of, speak up about it, because I feel like, okay, every day we are hearing people are on set, people are on set. We want to watch these films. We cannot just say, okay, it's only YouTube. You want to be able to get build a fan base, a
Yeah.
community, people that will, turn up and watch your film. So please, if you are related to the cinema, please help our lives, because we want to know exactly what is going
But
on.
at the same time, aside from the cinema, what I feel like film producers are neglecting is small venues. It's true you could do a film for 10 million and immediately you just want to sell it to Netflix or to Prime or somewhere to get the 10 million back. which is not going to be possible because I'm always like, we need a local market. Without a local market, you cannot go
Yep.
anywhere. So
Yep.
if we don't have cinemas, there are alternatives. You could use a restaurant that could have 50 people. So if 50 people pay 1,000 francs to watch your film, they would watch, they go back, they tell more people. You do another venue, 50 people, and gradually you will get your money, and the news of the film is going to go out there. It's because we are always thinking big, but at times it's better to think small. Think small, multiply it times 10. You have the big figure you're looking for.
Wow. I think I just love the whole idea of the thing small, because everybody that I've spoken to, everybody's about, oh, how can we get a Netflix deal? Oh, how can we get a Prime? Everybody wants to go for the big screens, but then we're neglecting that we could start small, build a community. That's what you were saying. Build the local market
Yeah,
first, build an audience, and without the audience, even those streaming platforms cannot come here to decide,
exactly.
okay, we want to have a headquarters, we want to have a branch here. None of them are here at the moment, and we are hoping that they can come so that more films can go on there. So are we expecting anything from Ayu Garrett this year? What should we be expecting, writing, producing, or acting wise?
Um, there is a lot, and
Okay.
um, I've learned not to keep my hopes up too much. It's true, they say speaking into existence, but I'm speaking it into existence, but I'm like, if it doesn't happen, let me not have my heart broken, because the things I saw last year, it was like a repeat of 2020, the things I saw last year. But I have a couple of short films. I'm working on a documentary, which I am extremely, extremely excited about because I had always wanted to do a documentary, but I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't have the story. So now that I have the story, I really want to go ahead and tell the story. So I have a documentary on the way. I'm going to be starring in a series. I have 2 short films to star in. So far, it's looking good.
Okay. So, Vinny, we're definitely eating good from
Yeah.
you. So, we're keeping our fingers crossed, but we're not letting it go yet. We have a little bag there. So, we're going to play a little game where you're going to pick something there and you have to answer it. So, let's go.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's nothing frightening. I'm not that bad.
I don't put myself in trouble for this. How many do I have to pick?
Pick the first one first. And you're going to read out the question or whatever is written on it. What's the question?
Who's the director you would like to work with?
Okay.
Where? Cameroon, Africa, where?
Just who do you want to work with?
I would say Enongene Scott, the director of The Fisherman's Diary and Half
Half
Heaven,
heaven, yeah.
because as a writer, he is extremely, extremely good as a writer. I mean, his stories are very deep and powerful. So, and I've watched his directing. He has amazing films. So, that is one person that every day I see him, I'm like, I need to work with you before I die. Please, I need to work with you because I really love his films.
Okay. So outside of Cameroon now,
Mm-hmm.
who do you want to work with?
Outside of Cameroon, I think Kemi Adetiba.
I knew it.
Again, I'm always drawn to people from writing. So she's one person who she's leading you somewhere with her story, and then you're like, how is she going to get out of this situation? And then out of nowhere, you see a solution that you didn't see coming. And for me, I really, really love her films. King of Boys 1 and King of Boys 2. So that's one person outside Cameroon who I would really love to work with.
I think this year she's bringing King of Boys but now to cinema
Yes.
in December, and also To Kill a
To Kill a
Monkey.
Monkey.
To Kill a Monkey is going to Netflix. Well, I feel like this year, light, camera, and action is really everything
Yeah.
is moving, everything is buzzing. But then, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
We
for
had
having
a
me.
pleasure, having the conversation with you, and I think you dropped a lot of like important gems, I would say, because there are so many times that from the outside we're kind of ignorant to some of the things that are happening in the scene in the film industry. But I'm really looking forward to more improvements and people, looking for creative ways of like putting out their project and thinking of, how to build a community and also hopefully a cinema culture
Yeah.
in the country. So thank you once again for coming on Quite Enough. We're not letting you go still yet. Don't worry. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. So for our what's next segment, we have the Tales of Bubeye. It's a pigeon stage play that will be showing at EFC on the 1st of February. So they've done the one in, I think, is it in Bamenda? They did another in
Yeah, they're doing
Douala.
a whole tour.
Yeah, so there's going to be. I'm really looking forward to it because I love stage plays. I love stage plays because it's like connecting to somebody that you can
Yeah.
see a character and all the emotions, and it's in pidgin. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to put together. So we also have Livka. I think he won the Revelation of the Year for Kim First. He is a rap artist and writer, songwriter. Also, he's having his first concert at EFC. Also, that will be the 6th of February. So it's like everybody decided this year we are out and
Yeah.
working. I mean, since from 1st January we've not had a break. Everybody's up and running, and I'm really loving it. It's like everybody has a wake up call you to put out their creative work, show up, and I think this year is definitely going to be a good year. We're keeping our fingers crossed for it.
Fingers crossed, because at the beginning of the year everybody is hyped, everybody wants to do something, but halfway into the year people start slowing down,
New
you don't
year,
see
new me.
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, no, I'm confident about this year. I'm sure that by the end of the year, we're going to come back and we'll have a lot to look forward to. Well, people, that is it for today's episode of Quad Enough. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment, and join the conversation. Tell us what's next, what you're looking forward to during the week, events you'll be catching up on, and make sure you live to the highest peak of self-expression. Also, show up, show out, and definitely continue to keep shooting your shot. I remain your host, the voice Jemma. Catch you next week.